Let me start with a small life lesson. If a friend ever tells you, "Hey, if anything happens to me, promise you'll look after my family," think carefully before saying yes. Because promises like that, they change lives. And that is exactly where the story of The Last Letter by Rebecca Yarros begins. This is not just a love story. It's a story about grief, about family, about promises that suddenly become very real, and sometimes very complicated. The story introduces us to Beckett, a soldier, strong guy, loyal friend, the kind of person who would probably help you move house without complaining. But Beckett also has a best friend in the military, Ryan. And Ryan talks about his sister a lot. Like, a lot. You know that friend who mentions their sibling every 5 minutes? That's Ryan. He describes his sister Ella like she's the strongest woman alive. Single mother. Raising twins. Running a business. Basically handling life like a superhero with no cape. But Ryan also has one rule. He jokingly tells Beckett, "Never write to my sister." Protective brother energy. You know how that goes. And then tragedy strikes. Ryan dies in the line of duty. Suddenly the joking rule doesn't matter anymore. Because before he died, Ryan asked Beckett for one final thing. To write to Ella. To tell her how proud he was of her. To remind her she wasn't alone. Now here's where life gets complicated. Because Beckett actually keeps that promise. He writes the letter. Just one letter. Simple. Respectful. Nothing dramatic. But here's the thing about letters. They open doors. Emotional ones. And before Beckett realizes it, one letter turns into another. And another. Now let's talk about Ella. Ella's life is not easy. She's raising twins, running a small business, and grieving the loss of her brother. Which, by the way, is already enough stress for 3 people. But what makes Ella interesting is her strength. She doesn't fall apart. She keeps moving. She keeps showing up. Even when life clearly did not send her in easy mode. And when Beckett's letter arrives, something unexpected happens. It brings comfort. Not because Beckett says something magical, but because someone cared enough to write. And sometimes that's all people need. A reminder that someone is thinking about them. This part of the book quietly teaches something important. If someone is grieving, you don't need the perfect words. You just need to show up. Send the message. Make the call. Write the letter. Trust me. People remember those small acts. Sometimes for the rest of their lives. And that's exactly what happens here. Because those letters between Beckett and Ella, they slowly become something deeper. 2 strangers. Connected by loss. Beginning to understand each other. One letter at a time. And here's another small life lesson. Sometimes helping someone from a distance is easy. You send a message. You send encouragement. Simple. But helping someone in real life? That's a different story. Because real life is messy. And Beckett is about to find that out. The letters between Beckett and Ella continue for a while. They talk about life. About Ryan. About the twins. About the small struggles of everyday life. And slowly, something happens. Beckett starts caring. Not just out of duty, but genuinely. So he decides to do something bold. He moves to Ella's town. Now imagine that for a second. You move to help the sister of your best friend. A woman you've never actually met. A woman who is still grieving. Yeah, that's already a risky situation. But Beckett does it anyway. Because sometimes keeping a promise requires real sacrifice. When Beckett arrives, he sees something important. Ella is strong. But she is also exhausted. running a business, raising twins, carrying grief, trying to stay strong for everyone else. You know that type of person. The one who says I'm fine, but clearly needs a nap, a vacation, and probably a hug. Ella is that person. And Beckett notices. So instead of trying to be a hero, he simply starts helping. Fixing things around the house. Helping with the kids. Being present. No grand speeches. Just small acts. And here's something this story teaches really well. Real love doesn't always start with fireworks. Sometimes it starts with kindness. With patience. With showing up. Think about it. The most trustworthy people in life are not the ones who say the nicest words. They're the ones who consistently show up. And Beckett becomes that person for Ella. Not perfectly, but sincerely. Now let's be honest for a second. If someone suddenly moved to your town because they promised your brother they would help you, you'd probably feel a little suspicious too. Like, are you sure this isn't a pity mission? Ella has those moments. She struggles with the idea of relying on someone new. Because when you've already lost someone you love, trust becomes difficult. Very difficult. And that's what makes this part of the story feel real. The relationship doesn't develop instantly. It grows slowly. Through trust. Through patience. Through shared pain. This part of the story quietly reminds us of something important. People who are hurting don't need someone to fix everything. They just need someone who stays. Someone consistent. Someone kind. Someone patient. And Beckett tries his best to be that person. Even when it's uncomfortable. Even when it's complicated. But life, of course, has its own plans. Let's continue the story of the last letter. And here's another small truth about life. Just when things start feeling stable, life sometimes says, plot twist. And this book delivers exactly that. By this point in the story, Beckett and Ella have settled into a rhythm. Not a perfect life, but a working one. Beckett helps with the kids. Ella begins trusting him more. The house slowly feels lighter. Not because the grief disappears, but because someone is sharing the weight. And if you've ever gone through a difficult time, you know something important. Pain feels different when you're not carrying it alone. Now let's talk about the twins for a moment. Because children in this story add something powerful. Honesty. Kids don't hide emotions. They say exactly what they feel. If they're sad, you know it. If they're happy, the whole room knows it. And through them, Beckett begins to understand just how much this family has been through. But he also sees something beautiful. Despite the loss, despite the hardship, this family still laughs, still fights, still loves each other deeply. And that reminds us of something important. Families are not perfect. They're just people trying their best. Remember those letters from earlier in the story? They continue to play a huge role. Because Ryan, Beckett's best friend, left behind more than memories. He left behind words. And words can carry incredible power. A letter can comfort someone. It can break someone's heart. Or sometimes, it can do both at the same time. As more of Ryan's letters surface, the emotional reality of the story becomes heavier. His love for his sister. His trust in Beckett. His hopes for the people he left behind. All of it slowly unfolds through those pages. And you start realizing something. Ryan didn't just leave a promise. He left a responsibility. A responsibility to protect the family he loved. This part of the book quietly reminds us of something many people forget. Tell people how much they matter while you can. Don't wait for the perfect moment. Send the message. Make the call. Say the words. Because life has a strange habit of changing when we least expect it. And sometimes, the words we leave behind become the things people hold on to the most. By now, the emotional stakes in the last letter are much deeper. Beckett is no longer just keeping a promise. He's become part of the family. Ella is no longer just grieving. She's learning to open her heart again. And just when things seem like they might finally settle, the story delivers its most powerful emotional moment. The one that gives the book its name. The last letter. And here is one honest warning before we continue. If you read this book, you might cry a little. Maybe a lot. So keep tissues nearby. I'm serious. Toward the end of the story, the emotional weight finally comes together. The letters Ryan left behind slowly reveal the depth of his love for his family. For his sister. For his children. For the people he trusted most. But the most powerful moment comes with the final letter. The one that gives the book its title. That letter isn't just a goodbye. It's a reminder. A reminder that love doesn't end when someone is gone. It changes shape. It lives in memories. In promises kept. In the people who continue showing up for each other. And that's exactly what Beckett does. He keeps showing up. Even when things get painful. Even when life becomes overwhelming. When you step back from the emotions of the last letter, a few powerful lessons appear. First, promises matter. A simple promise between two friends changes the course of many lives. And the story reminds us that integrity is not about convenience. It's about commitment. Second, love often grows quietly. It doesn't always start with dramatic romance. Sometimes it starts with kindness. With patience. With someone fixing the broken sink in your kitchen. Romantic? Maybe not. But extremely reliable. And honestly, reliability is underrated. Third, grief is not something people get over. It's something they learn to live with. The pain doesn't disappear. But life slowly grows around it. Fourth, small acts matter. A letter. A visit. A helping hand. Sometimes the smallest gesture can change someone's entire world. This book also quietly reminds us of something simple. Tell people you love them. Don't assume they know. Say it. Write it. Message it. Because words matter more than we realize. And sometimes those words become the things people hold on to forever. This book is not just a romance novel. It's a story about loyalty. About healing. About family. And about the quiet ways love continues even after loss. It's emotional. It's heartbreaking. But it's also deeply human. The kind of story that makes you pause and appreciate the people in your life. If this review resonated with you, I highly recommend reading the book for yourself. This summary only scratches the surface of the emotional journey the story offers. If you enjoyed this video, like the video, it helps the channel grow. Comment below, have you ever read a book that completely broke your heart but you still loved it? Share this video with someone who loves emotional stories. And of course, subscribe to the channel for more deep dives into powerful books and unforgettable stories. Because here, we don't just talk about books. We explore the lessons hidden inside them. Until the next chapter.